Well, everyone, our second speaker is Dr. Shimat Joseph, who is an assistant going to be associate professor at the Department of Entomology at the University of Georgia. Before joining us in 2017, he was an IPM advisor for cool season vegetables and for 5 years at the University of California. Dr. Joseph's research focuses on ecology and management, arthropod, pet, and beneficial insects in thoroughgrass and ornamental systems. Shmat, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Bodhi. Share my presentation. So good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Shimat Joseph. So I'm located in Britain campus. So just to start with my contact information. So you can reach me by email or phone number. It's over here by phone. So if you have any best issues, let me know. Okay. Just want to throw my contact friend. So for today, what I'm thinking was to go over some of the major emerging pest problems in nurseries. Some of the pest problems we already have it for a long time. Crape Metal Box Scale panels, emerging problem in our state. Ambrosia Beetles, Flathead Borers, and Red Headed Flea Beetles. They're basically there for a while, but still we want to manage them somehow and improve the management and stuff like that. So this is what I'm planning to do. So spend around 20 minutes on each pest, roughly. But Flathead Borer probably let's keep a few comments on that. So starting with the Crape Metal Box Scale, this is so what you on the screen is basically the females. They are pulp-like scale insects, and that's what. So if you see that white, um, circular stuff there, if you peel that off, you'll see a lot of eggs in there. And if you squeeze it, it'll produce white, red colored hemolymph that oozes out. So that's a sign of this. And we don't have that many scale insects and attacks. Crape nettle, and this is basically the one. And if you see that thing like this, is basically going to be a Crape nettle box scale. So this is only known scale that attacks the bark of Crape nettle at this point. So this pest is invasive native to Asia and was first confirmed Dallas, Texas in 2004. After that, basically, it's basically spread on all the Gulf Coast, all the states, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. Now it's reported in Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, and we have some reports from Georgia as well. So here in Georgia, we confirmed in Corrida County in 2014. Since after that, for a while, nobody heard about any issues in Georgia, but the guess is that is there in 2019 and also last year. I received some samples from nurseries where we are finding Crape Myrtle Box Scale. So it's there. Keep an eye on it. So just to go over some of the biological information on this pest. So you'll see most of the scales that you see on the bark, they're all females. You might see males, but males are very rare. So you may not come across. So all that is on the bark is all females. So they roughly lay about 100 to 300 eggs. And the eggs hatch, and the person starts on the first stage that comes out of eggs. We call them as crawlers. And crawlers are the only stage that can go on. And you can see over here, eggs here, and these other crawlers that's trapped in sticky tape. So the crawlers are in search of place to settle. What I mean by settle is basically inserting a tube-like mold parts. It's a straw-like mold part line into the tree, and they try to find a crack or locations in the beginning where they congregate and put out these tube-like mold parts. Once they put it there, they suck up the food from the foreign races or the photosynthesis. And they later in stores. So they get, and you can see this is a third second jars of great metal box scale. So during the winter time, it's basically the second stars that go through that whole winter. And right now, they might have more than third in star, and some started moved into autumn, and security looks felt like covering over the egg mass. So once they lay eggs, and basically the entire film or the whole sac is filled with eggs, the female dies off, and that's how this life cycle goes. So 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 from crawler to all the way to the adult stage, all stages basically except eggs, they all feed on uh, through this bar, and so they take more than what they need usually, and whatever that is that they don't eat, basically it has a honeydew, it's a sugary material, and basically that attracts suitable fungus that grows on this honey and gives this kind of appearance that you see on this picture that I'm showing. In terms of damage wise, they should can reduce number of flowers and their overall growth might be retarded. You might see some buyback. But infestation is very high and extreme. You might see the trees dying. So it won't happen right away, but time it can happen. So on the bark, you see that all the black stuff on the back as well. So and you don't see that with the other pests. The other important pest that's known in Crape is aphids are mostly Christians, and you might see honeydew on that as well, not like this. See that. So they have several other alternate foods. So that's another peculiar thing, and this list is expanding every year. Foods are added, and some are native, as you can see. So another similar pest that you might see is azalea box scale. So that is very specific to rhododendron, and they stay in that family. But this one looks like it's expanding to other families as well. So management point of view for the nurseries, it appears that monitoring is really critical. If you see any belt-like or any white appearance on the bar, it's very hard to miss. If they are there, you'll see. And I would say I would just rub it with my fingers. That's what I would, that color oozes out, bloody red color. It shows that it's a long scale. I would just destroy the plant if it is very few plants. But if it is going to be a large numbers, then probably you need to think about managing. So this is going to be very difficult test. In a way, any bark, anything feeding on the bark is really difficult. Because even if people really good decide that just the bark within the stem or the tree, it's very difficult to get enough dose to keep complete. That means that repeated applications and for year after year applications and monitoring needs to be done. Usually we don't do anything on this, right? So it's more cost added to this. Biology control wise, there are a lot of ladybugs and green lace, brown lace wings and others. They are naturally present. They can control to an extent. The problem is that the population is breaks out to high numbers. It's very difficult to catch it and control to bring it down to that level. So that is a challenge of control at this point. So with regard to management, insights, what is really going to work is Dynotopper, that is Safari. Used to have Xylan, that's basically not available at this point. So it's a Safari, that's a product that works the best. This thing about Dynotopper is it is a highly water soluble, it's really well in the bark, in soil, and also the bark stem of the tree, and it will get to the canopy. So that's what we usually recommend for in bog scale, especially like scale or those sort of box scales to do that. We recommend that. So soil range, high volume soil range. Application timing wise, it's good to apply March to May when the leaves are trees are in high growth stage. So they'll be picked up very quickly and transported actually pretty effective sense. But if you see the population late in the season, like in August, definitely I would do the, or make a I would recommend is the application right away is really advisable at that. Don't wait you know for some time. That means you're allowing the population to and won't be a good thing. So if you're shooting for using a contact material, then you need to know when the crawlers are active. So that's what I suggest. So there are good materials out there. Control may not be as good as using might or like a systemic insecticide. So in this case, you have to watch for the crawlers and crawler activity. So any growth regulators, horticultural oil, pyrethroid should work as long as you are applying when the crawlers are out, the crawler active. Because crawlers are only stage that doesn't have any protection. So when we apply, likely to kill them. Or once they settle, they simply start producing vaccine. Difficult to control them. So that's the inside of point. What I suggest is to suspect that there is a precision of this box scale without this double-sided tape on the different stem and bark and around it, circle it, wrap it around, and look at the margin of this tape. And if you see those those red colored, reddish colored crawlers on the edges of those tape, basically that's what you're looking for. So in Texas and on Louisiana, those part of that region, they see that first peak happen in May and the second peak in October. So they generally tend to say about 2 to 3 generations occurring. So in our case, we not whole lot different. So that's a time for any crawler. But again, these things has to be done in particular field, particular situation. So you have to put it out and have to figure out when the crawler emerges particular nursery. So things might vary by nursery to nursery. So again, one other aspect is that you see them in the landscape. That's another to keep an eye on the landscape is based on landscape and also the nursery. Okay, so moving on to another pest here. This is Ambrosia Beetles. So again, this is not a new pest, around for decades, and especially the first one that is granulate Ambrosia Silosanthus crassiastalis. That's the major one that 95% of the Ambrosia beetles that we collect in our samples. It's turned out to be skins, granulate Ambrosia. You'll see the black stem borer too at some level, some places, especially if you go southern part of the state, you tend to see more of that too. Again, a lot of things are variable too. But anyway, these are the two important species that is mostly back in the trees. So they are introduced in 70s to South Carolina. And the thing is that they became a pest on the woody ornamentals. And the difficult challenge here is that they're close to spectrum. They can go after more than 200 species of trees. So their white host ring is that one thing that is very challenging. So it's a problem in nurseries, particular in orchards. There is a leak, some other diseases. And so Lani, I don't know if she talked about it, but that's something that she is working on. They think that there's a correlation with some disease, but in our case, we don't need to worry about that in nurseries. It's all trees. That's what we're looking at. In that, so basically, these pests they are scavenger beetles. So they are breeding and in woody areas. So all the wood lots, with all the trees, fallen trees, and that's where they are going after. So they are breeding there, they are growing, and time to time they come out of those woodland and they attack the trees, nurseries. So they don't healthy trees. They are looking for weak, stressed trees. That's what they are aiming for. So there are other species also like compactors, saxes, and mutilators. So those are other groups also we see time to time attacked on our trees. So they develop in the woods, as I said. And one thing I thought biological part of this space is their reproduction. So they are highly skewed towards females. So all the beetles that you see attacking trees, all the beetles that are attacking the tree, they're all female. So males rarely leave the tree. They stay inside the tree. They never leave the tree. So all the females comes out and they are all fertilized. Usually over the fall, they all mate and fertilize and stay there. And they usually come out springtime as the temperature warms up. So this time around, they are out. We have milder temperatures. That's the time they fly. So they fly and they attack. What I recommend growers is that look at the weather, and the weather is about 65 or above for 3 days, around 3 days. That's what you need to worrying about because they tend to fly times before sunset. So that's the time they fly. You have a temperature like 70, 65, 60 during that time. They will fly during that time. That's the time for. So another thing is that they look for stress trees. They will not touch healthy trees. That's a question I always have. You might see trees that attack. The trees may not look for our eyes, may not look very stressed, but they attack only the stress trees. So the stress might have happened yesterday or might have happened last summer or during whatever the stress, the trees and the stress. That's exactly what they're looking for. And the reason is that those trees that they are stressed, they produce ethanol. And that's the kind of a cue that they look for to attack the trees. They need stress trees to colonize so that they can gather there. So when they attack, as you can see over here, bore straight tree itself and colonize in the galleries, the hardwood area. So that makes it challenging to manage because unlike the other trees that basically colonize vascular frontal areas, in this case they go after and colonize inside the hardwood. That's another particular thing about this pest. They attack, they carry their own. That's another thing. They carry their own fungus. That's what you call Ambrosia Beetle. So the most common fungus they carry is Ambrosia, that particular group. They carry their food in this kind of pockets in the back here, behind the rings. And when they attack, they make galleries, they inoculate those galleries with this fungus and grow that fungus in there and feed on. So they feed on not on the wood. They don't feed on the wood. They feed on this fungus that they attack or they bring with them. And the eggs are laid here, and you can see all the larvae, they all feed on this fungus. So that makes it even difficult to manage this pest industry. So symptom, how do you know that you got this attack? Basically, when they attack, it's a soreness that comes out of that hole that they so that we call it as a tooth. It's what you and that was it coming out of the tree where the attack is compressed sawdust and there is greater compression comes out. But it's not very reliable with the rain and wind, this break and fall off. So that's another thing. Keep in mind. So in nurseries, we have seen hundreds of beetles attack Some trees have no problem. Tree look very good, but some trees attack only 2 or 3 beetles. They are dead or showing severe dieback. So we don't know exactly what is this going on, what's causing the dieback. But what we believe is that it's a hypersensitive response, as with any fungus that is growing tree try to shut down and respond to that. And that's what we believe is going on regard to that. So like I said, some trees may not show any symptom at all. And with time, those holes that they strong tiny holes, those holes will heal together few weeks. And the tree is perfectly fine and you can still say it. Those scenarios always happens. But you see you can see, sometimes you see the situation, trees die and severe die back. This also happens. So again, one question usually we ask is that how quickly the dieback you're talking about within 3 days. The dieback will happen when you see an attack happens. So within 3 to 4 days, you start seeing branches dying off. So management wise, because of this nature of their attack and they, where they attack and where they colonize and the way they food and things like that, it is very difficult to manage insecticides. So that's another thing. So what really works is in contact. So we tried quite a bit of insecticide in the past. This year we put out some trials as well. We had a very not really good luck on using other insecticides. So the best one that worked so far is pyrethroids, that is permethrin, bifenthrin, pyrethrin, beta-cyclometrin, all those pyrethroids, they they tend to reduce holes. So they less holes, less attacks on the stem. The material is session. So the permethrin can last at least for about 2 weeks. The thing is that the pressure is very high. It's always good to put another on to make sure that you're having residues left. So the practices that enjoy reduce anything that can reduce stress should be adopted. I would say so. So whether irrigation, or drainage, or proper fertilization, those kind of things. So I'm pretty sure the growers know that where the trees are, where there is flooded, or there is drainage issues, or not proper water, and things like that, those trees are under stress. And those trees will be first one online on get attacked. And we have seen the pattern too, where most of the trees, the borders, they're attacked more than trees inside. But again, that's a general pattern that we have observed. But some occasions we have seen even attacking trees inside the nurseries. So they just bypass and not touch any healthy trees, and they can point weak and stress freeze and attack. So in the aided days, it is challenging with systemic insecticides because we tried over and over, it's not showing, so it's not effective. So if you plan to use any systemic insecticide like gluconoids, you're basically wasting your time on this. It's not going to work. So because of nature that you don't have that materials to deal with, we need to know when they fly. So that's time and energy you are spending past a few years on this, and we generally see about 3 weeks occurring in different sites. So usually when the bud break, when the temperature is 60 or above, I was surprised in many occasions where the trees look not ready without the buds, but it's not showing sign of breaking, but this is within days or you see the buds appear and start breaking. So that is the time they like the most and attack. So what we're looking at is the temperatures sustained about 60 to 65 days, like 2 to 3 days. That's what we're looking at. So watching the temperature is very critical and they will fly if that happens. in the springtime. And we have seen that. And you usually see the temperature go down again, going up. So you usually see multiple peaks of their flight. And so you had to strategize and time your application to this, to their. So that's the other four was from 2009. This is from 2020. We see the same peaks coming up. Again, peak, the timing can vary by year and also location. So if you're south, they fly early for sure. It's warmer there. Like the north, we again can vary. So this year it was started flying last week of February. We started seeing jacket. So that's what. So this year we are still sampling. This year, as of today, check the traps. We captured only less than one. So basically one or zero. But you can see past 2 weeks, we saw quite a bit of numbers coming out. So it's not just one trap, there's multiple traps inside, and we just averaged it. So some traps we saw about 89 single trap. So determining the flight activity is critical, and one way to do that is put out some traps. So you can use the traps, the alcohol, because it's like us. Remember, we like alcohol, they like alcohol. So they like ethanol. So isopropyl alcohol, those things, they won't go. They don't like it. So ethanol is the only thing that works. It should be okay if it is being natured. That's okay. But as long as it's ethanol, they will come to that track. Identify the trees, your place, the stress is very critical here. And things are site specific or case by case. So your neighbors might have got an attack, you might not have gotten. So those things can happen. And that's very common. So monitoring, you have to put out help. The one suggestion is use these bolts. So we use this wooden bolt with about 4 inches diameter. Get hole in the center using a drill. We just drill that a hole and we pour alcohol in there. And we use 90% alcohol in our study, but we have seen they are sensitive to 70% alcohol as well. So that's something that you can buy towards. So we drill a hole, pour alcohol into this hole, and we just put a cork and so that it stays like that. And you refill this hole with alcohol. That's what we do. And monitoring, we usually check every 7 days, but for a nursery standpoint, it is very important you check, especially when temperatures are high. Um, you might see how this is going to be useful. You might see those holes appearing on this. That's what you see here. The holes you can see all in the picture. Sometimes this coincides with the attack on the tree. If it is a peak, okay. So usually it's one or two, three, four comes out. Then only the peak happens. So that gives you an indication they are started to fly. So when you see like few, like 3 or 4 holes there and the peaks appearing, that's basically a sign that you had to go and make an application because the peak is going to happen very soon. After the peak occurred, there's no point in application. It's not going to. Another way of doing is any bottle, soda bottle, you can just cut it off like a window and can buy this alcohol pouches. That's that you can hang as shown in this picture. And there's attracts these beetles. They're around and they all got drowned. You can add like a soap water or antifreeze or whatever, salt water, soap water, whatever it is, whatever you have access to. That just traps the and drown the beetle that's formed. See reacting. Okay, so that's that, and I'm going to switch gears on other borer that is flathead borer. This is I won't say this is a major problem, but occasionally we see trees. So some trees cracked random. In some places, we have seen more attacks than other places. So it all depends on the population of this borer in that area. So this is called Flathead Borer for a reason because the head is the segment head behind the head is called thorax, and that segment is basically flat. That's how we call flathead. So unlike Ambrosia Beetle here, they attack trees and they feed on the bark, the vascular bundle area, so basically encircling the tree. That's what they like to feed and basically block movement of photosynthesis in the plant water or water, and eventually the tree dies. That's so their activity starts early March, May, and sometimes through October. And when they won't or anything like that, so they like to go. They like to stay and attack on the lower portion of the tree, on the stem, and lay eggs. So they can roughly lay about 100 eggs. Not all 100 eggs will survive, or few hatches, and some dies. Larvae hatch comes out, but only a few that survives. We have recovered 7 or 8 from a bar usually, but never we haven't seen like not all the 100 eggs are laid on single chest, and so it's spread out. So females, when they approach, they lay eggs, and the larvae hatches out, and the larva basically drills and stays encircling those stem and basically block. Again, they have a pretty wide host mane. That's another thing to remember. And you can see over here is a canker, and you can see this. This is where the larva basically is mine around that. Uh, And when they pupate inside the bark itself, and the adults emerge out, and adults emerge, they create like a deep shape holes. It's kind of creation of their position. So management standpoint, you might know that there. So once you know that, best thing is to use some system insecticides like imidacloprid that works very well. And so far, what I'm understand, that's the best dimethoxam, protanidine, other neonicotinoids are there, but it's not as good as imidacloprid. For a reason, imidacloprid is also cheaper compared to others. So that's the best material so far. There's a lot of studies going on to find an alternative to that. But so far, we haven't discovered any. Okay, now I'm looking at the time. Okay, this is maybe the last best time with the talk. So this is Redheaded.
It's enough time.
Yes, Woody?
You have plenty of time.
Okay, that's good. So I'll spend as much time here on this. This is the flea beetle, and it's recently, I don't know, I have seen this as a kind of a pest. A lot of nurseries. So some people try to buy some plants from nursery for my own research here, and I see all this feeling damage, short holes on the leaves, and clearly that's what it is. And it's certainly that the growers are not doing much for this. Ignored. I don't know what it is, but I thought it's only major problem in the bigger nurseries. But as I visit more nursery, get the samples, I'm seeing more of this happening. And so to me, I feel like this is a little more widespread than what we are thinking, this particular beetle. So this is not a red-headed beetle, flea beetle. So it's a flea beetle for a reason because it's the hind leg of this beetle has pretty long, and they jump like it, and when they touch, and they fly too, very efficient. At the same time, they jump. They're mostly blackish in color, but if you look at it, you will see a reddish to that. And that's how I think the red-headed flea beetle mark. So in this particular picture here is very interesting. It's to show how they feed on the roses. That's what is here on this is on hydrangea that you see. So on the roses or hydrangeas, they try to scrape off the surface. Sometimes you see on the top, sometimes the leaves. And with time, it's basically they dies off the center part. and becomes a hole and becomes like a short hole symptom. And you don't want that lot happen, right? It's not to sell those products. So we believe that this beetle is here, it's originating, is a native US, is here. And we recently did a survey across different states. And we are finding all across the eastern seaboard, Canada, and also in the Pacific Northwest, in Washington, Oregon, and in central regions like Kansas and also other places. So it's pretty widespread. It's not just Georgia problem. It's basically there all the places. But this pest, for whatever reason, not staying a lot. Um, so that's not something that we are trying to do. Try to understand more about the environment so that we manage it. So they attack mostly what we have seen is nurseries, especially container nurseries. So we haven't seen a lot of field nurseries and also even the landscapes. With the surveys, pick up anybody saying that it's a problem in landscapes. It's more like container nursery problem. So the feel is that it's basically related to their biology, how they can survive and all. So this is a picture of the damage that's on the hydrangeas, panicle hydrangeas. But there are other species, so of hydrangeas also attack. But panicle hydrangeas, particular, they just love it. They come, they make all this damage, and it's very difficult to sell, especially the first window, springtime. This is on the roses. It showed can be really, really devastating if the pressure is very, very high. And this is on a sedum. So they attack not only hardy wood tree plants, also on the herbaceous like plants and succulents too. As you can see, the feeding pattern is quite similar. And this damage that's shown here is basically happened a while ago. This leaf is going to fall time. Another species, another variety of sedum, you can see the same type of damage. So they are, like I said, this is red things that I'm talking about on the head. And that's what his name that comes. It's a very small beetle, but you will see very easily temperatures are very high, especially daytime. They come, they start eating. Also see damage happening during time too. Though it's very hot, they tend to stay inside the pot. The females are usually larger in size compared to males in general. Again, this is another problem with this pest. This pest is so successful because it's wide host range. So they basically attack hosts. And we have noticed at least 50 hosts per creature. And that can be herbaceous to woody trees, the woody plants. And also some of the weeds that's grown around the nurseries, they're also susceptible to attack. You see the population growing. The eggs are laid simply on the pot. They are mostly container nursery farm. The reason is that the larval stage is placed in the pot. The eggs are laid on the surface, the centimeters down, the surface of the potting is shaped. And the larva basically feeds on the roots. And they hardly a pest larval stage. So they cause no damage. We are not aware of any damage, any significant damage caused by the larval feed on the roots. It's all adults that were causing the problem. And these larvae, if you look at that, it has that CT like rare, you'll see that projection, like upward oriented CT. That's what we call it the hair. So that's we tend to say that this is hair larvae. So they undergo 3 larval stages, they wait inside the pot itself. Maybe that situation there, highly watered, and it's a very good situation for them to grow and multiply big numbers. And there's a big nursery, like a wholesale nursery. There's plenty of pots out there, and basically that population goes so crazy. So they only dress until February. You'll see only eggs there. You cannot see any activity as temperature warms up, egg hatches, and now at this point it starts normal development. So nowadays they are feeding, they're developing gradually, and usually we see the population, adult population coming out is in about first week of May. That's the general time we have seen. So that's the time to look for it, especially for adults. Uh, and if you're thinking about doing patients, so that's the time to watch for. So in Georgia, we see multiple generations. So multiple generations. So and generations are all overlap time. The first generation is a little more predictable. Maybe second, you'll see a gap there for the adults emerge. After that, emerges adults all over all the time. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So scouting is critical. We don't have a trap per se at this moment. I work with different traps. I look at sticky traps because vegetables, some other people say very successful in using sticky traps, yellow colored sticky traps, and they capture quite a bit of beetles on that. Unfortunately, this beetle is not trapped on any sticky traps. You try different colors, no luck, no reliable data. You can use that as a tool. So we don't have any monitoring tool at this point. So what is really what the growers are doing, what we suggest is to then close eye and look for the adult active organisms before it gets there and start lot of damage and application necessary. So it's like any as other insects, like we talked before. It's not like a peak will happen on day one, right? It's like few of them will come in first day, and second day, gradually the numbers increase. So look for the adults, either keeping or in this case. So from management standpoint, we did some work and indicates that neonicotinoids has some efficacy. Sarisa is a new product. It's in the market. It's a diamide and looks like it has a good efficacy on adults, reduce adults feeding. Expire is on the market. So that is also a good product to use. It has a tool accurate and it works kind of data that this video. So we did some more work on that and we are continuing to work on it. Um, the thing is that if the population pressure is very high, no matter you have Sarisa or Expire is not very important, especially for the first window of selling. You might need repeated applications to have fresh residues. And especially now in springtime, it's planning to sell it, make sure that the residues are off before you sell it. So otherwise, you attack. Um, another reason why it's very difficult to manage is basically highly mobile. Their mobility, they are highly mobile, and also they like to feed on growing the plant. So for the hydrangeas, the growing shoots, that's where they like to go and attack. They feed on any parts, but part of the leaves, but the growing coming shoots, that's what see damage. So that makes it important that fresh residues on the plant. Drenching is another option too. We are working on that. The problem with drenching is this is for not for adults, for larval stages, acid rain and arrangement those diamides. Wilmore can reduce the bigger scale. You had to drench a lot of pots to get in there. That's another problem. Labor is a problem. All sort of things are there. For some growers are trying, but the way it works is mostly by ingestion. So we watered really well if you're drenching with these two products. And there are other products out there, even studies, so it's not labeled for application at this point. Expire is not labeled. So we are working on all those things to see if we can get that some good data. So based on what we know, they work, but it's not labeled at this point. So one other thing I want to highlight is that neonicotinoids has toxicity. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Use neonicotinoids because they do harm. That is very clear. And newer studies, more studies are showing there's good evidence now to say. 5 years ago, somebody asked me, I would say most of the work is lab, blah, blah, blah. I would have said that. But now we are seeing that it is. So make sure that you follow the label, especially the precautionary statements, because precaution statement says how that product needs to be used. So make sure you read that really well beforehand. Anyway, I think that's all I got for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Shimat. That was really great. And there are some questions in the questions.
1 second. Okay, can you read this possible body?
Sure, no
I
problem.
don't know where to start.
We use February 14th as approximate active date or warm up. When you get to the management part, we have questions for preventative chemical treatment methods.
So I guess this is for Ambrosia Beetle question, I guess.
It was asked at 4:27. So yeah, Ambrosia Beetle.
Yes, I would say now would be a good time to apply because we went through this cold temperatures. Now I look at my phone. It looks like the temperatures are going up. And I anticipate another flight will happen very soon. So in that sense, it is important to put a residue now will be good. There could be another flight when they happen. So if you got a product, any products by twice should be fine. By far is better. One thing I tell growers is that look at the label really well because the percentage of the active ingredients is so variable in different products. Some products has a higher bifenthrin or versus that, some lower. So that is one thing. I also know that using some adjuvants also helps, especially some bulk penetrants that can have keep the residues fresh for longer. So that's another practice that works better.
Thank you. Another question. How long does it take for crop it to be taken up and effective against FHAB? Thanks.
Yes, Flatheaded Borer. Imidacloprid is very slow compared to other neuroscience. My work with adults and kids and all in the past takes at least 6 months to really work effectively move around the tree. But once it is in the tree, once it is translocated the tree, it stays longer. The reason is that its byproducts break down into secondary products and they're all lethal. And they can also provide pretty long-term control. If you're looking at paddle borer, I would say I will apply as soon as these trees, right now, basically, when the buds are coming out, so that the larva, we are shooting for first install larva. So it's late from the date from now all the way to maybe June. By the time the eggs hatch and the larva stages start feeding, that's what they're going to get toxic. They get the little dose or from feeding. They might work. So I would say 3 4 months in general. That's the way that is slow end for imidacloprid. Time that amount will and one series. But a dinatrophin, on the other hand, is very quick. So it can get translocated within a month and you will get a higher dosage without tree very quickly.
There's a follow-up question on the same pest. Are trunk drenched with bark penetrators, have they been found to be effective?
That's a very good question. I haven't personally done any studies with that. But talking to so many of my colleagues, it appears that having a penetrant will definitely help. It will help so that the you will stay there on the bark a little longer. And but the trick here is to have it freshly residues for a longer period. And with the rain and also the things that's going on at this moment for us. So that's information to say that if you add nitrogen, it will help a lot.
And I think Phil also has a question just to clarify. Did you say 6 months on the imidacloprid? So
It will take,
best to plant in fall in 2-inch trees to allow time to move up.
yeah, it will take some time. Take some time. I don't know exactly 6 is the word because those things can be highly variable. But in general, imidacloprid is slow moving in terms of all the different liquid that we have. Danitrophan is the quickest, clothanidine and thimethoxam and imidacloprid is the last in that line. Okay, it's the pentaclocated.
And I think Phil also has another question, but I'm not sure that I'm understanding as he says, air blast or treat specific known tree variety. I assume
Right,
he's still talking.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So my honest opinion to this is, and practically it might be difficult to do, but to get the residues on the stem, it is always best to use trunk by trunk, tree by tree spray. Suit up, get dressed up, and spray tree by tree. Air blast, the problem is that may not get the publicity on the trunk because you're basically throwing it out, right? So at least the first application, I would suggest that make an application tree by tree, the one nozzle sprayer, if you can afford to do that. Um, Again, you may not need to do entire orchard or entire nursery like that. At least you know where the trees are vulnerable. You can narrow that down quite a bit. So if you see that those trees are stressed, I would say I'll make sure the residue is on the stem for sure on the box. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? So I have one, Shmat.
Sure.
Considering that the red-headed flea beetle is native, and it has such a broad range, herbaceous, shrubs, trees, just practically any vegetation. Um, are there some thoughts about why are we seeing them becoming a problem?
There are again a lot of hypotheses or kind of opinions, I would say. One thing is that we are buying things and moving it around, and that has a big role. Maybe somewhere trees are moved around a lot. And if a nursery has it, maybe knowing unknowingly, that's moved around. And as this broad and so spreading that, and that's what thing how they are spreading and into different nurseries. Again, when these plants are coming into a new nursery, I don't know there's a genuine effort to isolate those and watch those to contain it. And usually it's impractical, honestly. That's why. So when that come in and they are basically their own stock plants and other plants, they're getting listed there. And once you have it, it is a tough list, you know. And the population pressure can vary by year to year, but you have all the conditions required for this beetle to be successful. And you cannot stop watering, right, to grow them. So they end up there and for good. That's what happens. And they move, switch, and spread all different hosts within that nursery state.
Thank you. Certainly, there's no dearth of pests and
Right.
diseases for us to talk about. So we're really looking forward to seeing what your research yields. And thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. Thank you all for joining us for the March webinar, and we will see you again in May. Thank you, Shamat.
Thanks, Bordy.